Hi everyone, welcome to World of Tanks with stewiejp. I'm Stewie and this is my 2016 guide to Aslain's ModPack. How to install it, what features might be good for you, what features I use, and a few known issues which seem to happen around about patch day. So first of all, to get to the download, go to aslain.com, A-S-L-A-I-N finale.com, and on the World of Tanks English part there, you click on that downloads important information, and all these ones will come up. And this one here is the top one that you want, the pinned one, which is the ModPack installer. You download it by clicking on either this link here, the Aslains XVM Mod Plus ModPack installer. If you just want his generic settings, which I've never used, so I can't really give you any advice on it, go for this second link here. There's also a mirror link there in case this one's broken, or a direct link if you don't want to see the ad that comes with it. Ads do directly support Aslain, so I encourage everyone to click on the main ad. On this changelog down here in the spoiler box, he's got a list of all the things that he's added, updated, removed or changed in his mod pack. So once you download that and you open it up, you'll get the screen which asks you what language to select. So we go English, and you wait a little bit for it to load. It initializes it, checks for updates, all that kind of garbage, and you get to the main screen. If you've never used it before, I encourage you to tick this box, which will enable the image and sound preview by default. If you don't tick that box, you can add it on the next screen. A little bit of an introduction about what it's all about, which you can read if you like, and a list of his updates, same as what was in that spoiler box. On this screen, you select where your World of Tanks folder is. Now, if you have used this installer before, it will remember what your settings were last time. So if you're just running an update, you can just start it and run the installer. But if you're not, then you'll need to select whereabouts your World of Tanks folder is on your computer. And this is the main part. This is the main part of it, where it goes through every single mod. Now, if you've never seen this before, you have a look through. There's heaps of them, so it will take a while to go through. The last video I did on this went for about 40 minutes, but I'll try to cut that time down a little bit. First one is to automatically check for updates when you're in the garage. I always have that on. Your color scheme, which is your green and red color scheme. You can also go red, violet, blue and red, whichever colors you prefer. The next section is all the different icons that you can use on the list of tanks on your side and on the enemy side. I go for this one here. I like having the different colors for different mediums, so you know how many mediums there are on the enemy side, how many heavies, etc. And there are a number of different ones all down here. Webium isn't too bad. There's other ones which they're called simple, but they don't look too simple to me. This is the one I stick with. They go all the way down. There's quite a few of them. Over target markers. This is the one. They're the one I use. They're just the normal markers over the top of the tank. There are quite a few different ones you can get. Whichever one suits you. I go for the pretty plain one. But if you use the Aslain over target markers, you can also have these other things to selection, so you can show that the vehicle contour icon is there, the vehicle name. I find it quite handy in clan wars, platoons and strongholds, having the player's name there. So if you want to designate someone who you want to focus fire on, have their name there, as well as the tier numbers for what tier tanks they are. And if they're in a platoon, it should come up as well. All the different coloured hit points come up. Stock turret marker, so if he's got a stock turret, it'll let you know. And if there's somebody on low hit points, another marker will come up next to them. I have the tank names over vehicles that are destroyed. That probably doesn't really matter. And the angel wings and nuke icons when somebody gets blown up. Other XVM settings. Now this is something that I've been deselecting intro movie at the start of the game, auto login. At the start of any patch, those two will cause you issues when you're loading into your game. You might not be able to see all of your tanks, you might not be able to see any tanks, or you might just be able to see one. I have the ping turned on so I can see the ping while I'm in the garage, so if it looks really bad I can think, well, maybe I need to reset my modem, or maybe I need to reset my computer, or maybe I've got some programs running in the background that I probably don't need. Password saving box for Asia server only. Normally I would have this on, but at the start of a patch, we've just had patch 9.14 on the Southeast Asian server. Last week it was on the European American server. When it first happens, this is generally full of bugs, so I turn that one off. This one just shows how many players are alive instead of dead on the scoreboard. I don't really have that one. Favorite server, that's if you're using more than one server. I don't know how to use that. Next section is for the XVM panels. This one shows client language flags, so you'll be able to tell if they're from the same country as you, or if they might be able to speak English or not. I'll leave a few of these turned off, but you can have a look at what they might do. I find it the screen can get quite busy having a lot of these things selected, so I'd select a few less than I need. I have the advanced battle loading. That's the advanced statistics for when you're going into the game. So it's got your name. I think that's the tier of the tank, how many games a person's played, their WN8 rating, their win rate, how many games they've played in that particular tank, and their win rate in that particular tank. And the last number it's like an efficiency rating, the higher the better. And I've got the clan icons in there, so if it's somebody from a clan that I might know, or my clan, then I can say hello and send out an 07. That's the advanced statistics. For the next tab, player panel, you can change these. This is just how it's going to look in the game. Strong background, so it's nice and clear. My eyesight isn't 100%, so that makes it a little bit easier to read. For the enemy spotted markers, I like this bulb, but there's an eye, a small bulb, a big bulb, a default bulb, or an asterisk. I like bulb number 2. I think that's nice and big and easy to see who's spotted, who hasn't been spotted, and so you might be able to guess where they might be in the game. Display squad icons, that's for platoons. And then we're going down through. These ones are for when you're in the game. Up the top left side of the screen, there's 3, 2, and 1. There's different tabs you can select for how much information is shown on the screen. So I've made the big one, the advanced one, the medium one, just the names and how many kills they've got and the kind of tank they're in. And some of these other ones you can make them, you can show with hit points, different flags. It just gets a little bit messy, and showing individual hit points can often play up with your ping and your lag. So I don't try not to have too much on there, but I still want to have some information up on the screen. The XVM Minimap, a lot of these aren't needed anymore. All the circles I've disabled because you can turn them on in the game. So I always think it's better to have it on through the game if you can. But so all the circles, which is your render distance, your view range, and your automatic detection circles, you can turn them on like that. That's these different circles. There used to be a square, now that square is also a circle. But I've turned those off now because you can turn those on through the settings in the game. And the lines, I've got the view range lines. That's this line here is the line that you're facing. The line the camera's facing, that is. These ones, the 2 grey lines are which way your turret can go. So this tank's obviously a tank destroyer without a turret. And the green one in the middle is where your gun's aiming. So they're the different view range lines. There's also icons for destroyed tanks on the minimap. I have those on, and hit point circles on the minimap. So looking at those circles, these full circles here, they're at full health. This guy's at 3/4 health, and this guy's just under half health. Helps to see, just by looking at the minimap, how much health your tanks on your side as well as the enemy side have got. Full vehicle names on the minimap, I think that's if you push the Alt key or the Tab key in game. No, in Alt keys it shows the players' names, but normally it shows the kind of tanks they are when you're looking at the minimap. Got the minimap zoom on, so you can zoom it up, and you select that by using the left control key. More visible map coordinates, I don't normally use that. That's just adding extra things into the game that you probably don't really need. Hit logs, there's a heap of different hit logs you can use, which shows how much damage you've given, how much damage you've received. I encourage you to have a look through all these ones and see which ones you think looks pretty cool. I think that one looks pretty cool. It's a little bit neater, and you can also tell it where to go. Have it at the middle left, have it up the top, how many lines. You can also show the hit point log when you push the Alt key. The XVM stats, I use the original colours, which are quite simple and what I'm used to, but there's a few different colours you can use, whatever floats your boat. 6 cents icons, there's a lot of 6 cents icons you can use through Aslains ModPack. Try not to go too far. There's the eye, the dog. Dog looks pretty cool. Jimbo's, It's a Trap from Star Wars, John Cleese, Sauron, Girls and Panzer, Yellow Side. I don't use any of them. I just use the default. I actually use one that I found elsewhere, which I still don't think is in this mod pack, but I'll just scroll through the ones. That's not a bad one. That's nice and bright. But there's another one which I use. If you watch any of my normal World of Tanks videos, you'll see it every time I get spotted. And I think it's quite neat and quite cool. There's also sound alerts. I don't use them. You can use them if you like.
Hey man,
no problemo.
So you can hear those there. They're just for a little bit different, but anything like that I generally don't use because it may affect the quality of the game and make it feel like I'm playing with a little bit more lag than I do. Now in the hang up, got the price button on the tech tree and the research page, mastery mark in the tech tree which shows you how many mastery badges you've got. You can enable gold or free experience locker if you like. You can turn that on and off in the garage, but that might help you not spend gold that you don't want to spend. Multi-lined carousel, I've got 2 rows, but some people like having 5, 4, 3, and I just have the normal size. You can have the bigger ones or smaller ones, whatever floats your boat. And advanced information on the carousel. I've got this one which has got the maximum information. It's got my overall, that's the overall win rate, how many battles we've played, the average damage you do, how much damage you should do, and the percentage mark is a percentage of how far you're going towards your mark of excellence. 65% is your first mark of excellence, and then I think it's 80 and 90% to get your second and third. Got to zoom in. For the camera, you can zoom in a little bit more, zoom out a little bit more. So I have the maximum zoom out, 500 meters, which helps in a clan wars battle. You can zoom right out and you can really get a good bird's eye view of what your team are doing in the game. Scroll sensitivity I leave. Default zoom settings, I uncheck this so it remembers what I was zoomed into last time I was playing, but if you want to have it so it's 4 times, 2 times, 6 times or 8 times or 1.6, every time you push the shift key to zoom, that's the setting you'll be at. I'd rather use the shift key to zoom in to the same amount of zoom that I had when I was last zooming. This one blocks the scroll wheel when you're in sniper mode, so that you snipe. But again, that's how I zoom in and out, so I don't use that one. Disable gun shake effects, scope shadow remover. I use those. Show extra zoom indicator on the crosshairs, so it tells you how far you've zoomed in. Disable handbrake in sniper view. Well, I always thought the handbrake was on. when you're in sniper view. Enable free camera in replays. I use that because in my replays sometimes I might want to use a free camera while I'm watching a replay. And display results from previous battles. I don't have that selected, but it is a good thing to have. You might be in a game and you might be able to see that you've won the last battle, which is pretty cool. But the reason I don't have it turned on is I think it's on by default in another mod that I'm using. Disable red flash when an enemy hits your tank. You can turn that off if you like. Server crosshair. I have the fancy blue server cross, and that blue one shows where your gun is aiming rather than where you think it's aiming. If you've got a bit of lag, that can come in quite handy. Damage indicator, that shows where the last shot that hit you came from, and the number is how many seconds ago that that you were shot. Spotted vehicle direction on aim circle, that shows if someone's spotted, especially if you're zooming in, that little mark will come up to let you know that somebody's been spotted over there. I think that's a similar, and they're similar mods. It just looks a little bit different. Auto aim indication, which comes with blocking shooting at wrecks and allies, so you can't hurt your teammates. You can announce your clip gun reloading. That's if you're on an auto load like the bat chat like I've been playing lately. It'll tell your team that you're reloading, but I just do that manually. Tracks and engine prepare with the T key, I don't do. And disable VoIP switch with G key. So if you're pushing the G key, especially if you're in artillery and you've got that other shell view mod enabled, the G key won't play around with your voice settings. This shows your range. I don't have that turned on. Extra aim information. To me, that's just more clutter on the screen that I don't want. And there's these coloured damage stickers. They look pretty cool. That's if you've been shot, then these marks come up on your tank. Again, they look cool, but it's just more clutter that I don't like to use. You can also have a different colour for the base circles, which I don't do. Custom crosshairs. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I've always got this one. I'm getting a bit sick of this one, so I'm going to change it back to the standard, which has got a better timer and a few more things. But there's plenty of other different crosshairs you can use. Some of them look really, really confusing. Some of them are quite simple. But if you look at some of these, they look really good, but a lot of it's a little bit of a distraction for me. Look, there's too much information there for me to understand or to make use of, and it's just a big distraction. So I want to go back to the standard one for a while and see how that goes. Battle Assistant by the G key, that gives you that view with your artillery. So you're basically looking at where your shell's going to go, and by seeing how many obstacles are around or how many gaps you're trying to get through, you might be able to see a little bit more accurately what the chance of you hitting your target is. And there's also information about targeted vehicles. So if you're looking at a vehicle, it'll tell you about how much penetration it's got, how much armor it's got for you to get through. To me, it's just more messy information. Traverse marker styles are just like that. That's there. On the sides of if you're in a tank destroyer or an artillery, it'll show you how far you can swing your gun in any tank that doesn't have a turret. Artillery sights on the minimap, they just look a little bit different. I'll make that full size so it's a little bit easier to see. But again, to me, it's just a little bit too much information on the screen. I like to keep things reasonably simple. Battle shell cooldown buttons, they're just a different way of looking at these parts in the garage and also in the game. Makes it look a little bit different. And these ones here in the game looks a little bit different to the stock standard one. Just makes it look a little bit prettier. There's another debug panel here which shows your lag, your frames per second, etc. I don't have that on because I've got that on in the garage, and again, it's just more information that I don't need and messes up the screen a bit. More damage logs. This just tells me who's shot me, what kind of gun it is. Now Be very careful which ones of these you pick. Some of them, if it tells you who the enemy are and the enemy have not been spotted, it's actually illegal on the Southeast Asian server. There are a few mods on Aslains that are not legal on the Southeast Asian server, but they are legal on the North American or European or Russian servers. He did used to have a little warning in this screen, but now he doesn't. Any mods that tell you who shot you, if that person has not been spotted, is illegal. There's just a few different damage log counters which tells you how much damage you've taken, and that goes along nicely with the ones that tells you how much damage you've given. These are different kinds of damage panels which shows you your modules or your crew members that might be damaged. Non-XVM hit logs. These are hit logs that go to the top of the screen near the scoreboard, and that's the one I use. How much damage I've done, the difference, so how much damage I should do. So I'm 600 behind in this one, and your WN8 rating for the game. It's a handy little counter to see how you've gone in the game. Moving right along, we're nearly there now. These are different coloured things you can do if somebody's firing APCR or heat at you. I don't do it. No fog, max fair plane. This just brightens up the picture a little bit, makes things a little bit clearer, which for me, who's somebody whose eyesight isn't too good, makes it a little bit easier to see what's been going on. There's a few more received damaged announcer, which comes up almost as in the chat, who's been shooting you. Here's this one here, the EU version is prohibited on North America and Asia server, so he has got that one written in about what is and what isn't allowed. Safe shot, we've already got the safe shot installed, but that means you can't shoot your allies. If they run in front of you as you're taking a shot, it stops you shooting an ally. But with this one, it won't let you do it for 2 seconds. So if you've clicked on an ally inadvertently while you're in a platoon or a skirmish or a clan wars battle, and then moved and you're aiming at the enemy, you have to wait a full 2 seconds before you can fire a shot. Spot messenger, that tells your team that you're spotted. I don't have that because it annoys me when other people do. And the reload messages. Team hit points pool, I do have. Now this can affect your frames per second if you haven't got the best internet connection or the best computer. But near the scoreboard it tells you how much hit points your side's got compared to how many hit points the enemy have got, which is just another gauge of how your side are going. You might have less tanks but more hit points, in which case you might have more heavies than them, so you might want to do a bit of a push. OTM, over target marker reloads. There's one by RN and one by ZJ, and this comes up in an animated circle how many seconds until these tanks are ready to fire again. Now it doesn't take into account things like gun rammers, vents, brothers in arms and highly skilled crew, but it is a very handy guide if a tank's just fired, so you'll know how many shots you can get into him before he can aim at you again. Very handy when you're driving a medium tank and you're coming up against a top tier heavy tank that might have a long reload. I don't hide the reload of my allied tanks though, because I want to see when they can fire again, especially with auto loaders and big heavy tanks that have long reloads. Now this one here, Minimap tank view extended. This is against the Southeast Asian server rules. You can see on the minimap which way everyone's turret's facing. It was legal when it was first invented, but it's no longer legal on the Southeast Asian server, so for that reason I don't have it. But this is one of the mods I was warning you about. Aslain did used to have a little note here, illegal on the Southeast Asian server. I did comment on one of the forums about it and I didn't really get an answer, so I don't put them on, because one day Wargaming will be able to find out what mods you've got, and if you've got something you're not supposed to have, I think the official penalty is to have a permanent ban in the game. And a few other garage mods coming down here. Auto quick return, so the game remembers what equipment which is detachable for free, such as camouflage net, toolbox and binoculars, and if my tank has one of those on in one of its spots, it will automatically put it on and take it off after each game, so that I don't have to have 50 camo nets, or I don't have to manually put the camo nets or the toolboxes on my tanks. Once you've set up each tank, it will remember, or there's another one, an automatic one, which does them in that order. Binos, camo repair, binos repair camo, whatever. Garage icons, tank icons. In the results page, just makes the results page look a little bit cooler. Camouflage icons in the tech tree, icons with better contrast, just to see what, just mainly for the tech tree and the battle results, just to make it look a little bit cooler. Carousel, gold coloured premium tanks, I don't use that one. Camouflage coloured tanks, icons with better contrast, that's the one I use, icons with better contrast. They just look pretty cool in the garage. But for now I won't have those activated. Crew icons, you can make them look like girls, you can make them look like Minions, anime, Family Guy, Girls and Panzer, historical photos. Again, it's just more things to add to your downloads, add to your game. It might play up, especially early on in the patch, when the patch is less than a week old. I have the Yasin Kraken stats. Resets every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it tells me how many games I've played, how many I've won, my WN8 for the day and for each game, which looks pretty cool. Johnny Bafak's vertical tech tree just makes the tech tree a little bit more compact and easy to read. There's also built-in garages. Crew experience extended, which tells me how many more battles for each crew member before they get their next perk or skill. And vehicle experience extended. It tells me how much more experience for the vehicle before I get it fully loaded or unlock the next tank. There's also a research watchdog. That's another one which is quite similar, but I think this other one by Spotter is a little bit neater. Armoring extender, that just tells you how much blocked you've done, how much damage. I don't have that turned on. Replays manager, that's just for the Russian server, so don't worry about that one. Custom graphics on the battle results, and there's a lot of sound mods. Now, because it's early on in this patch, there's probably not as many here, but different crew sounds, minions voices, different mini-maps, high definition mini-map, which looks pretty cool. Train wagons. If the train wagons are yellow, you can generally shoot over the top of them, and you can make the borders a little bit different. I have the Asian icons on for all the clans, so if it doesn't matter if it's a big clan or a small clan, I'll be able to see their little icon, which I think looks pretty cool. And the white death tanks, so if the tank's dead, it's white. I had that turned off for some time, and I found that if a tank died in a bush or something like that, I would often crash into them, and it would really annoy me. The last one's down the bottom is a region changer, which doesn't work on the Southeast Asian server. World of Tanks Tweaker Plus, that's for more, if you're watching this video, you're probably not that advanced enough to use that. I don't know how to use it. It's for putting in different mods yourself. Change the client message to Polish. I don't think I'd ever want to use that. Ping spam blocker. Account manager. Easy crew voice selector. So you can make any tank. I've got it set so if I'm driving a French tank, they talk in French. If I'm driving an American or an English, they speak in English. This one you can make them speak any language you like. And VB Addicts, ACS and BR mods, which I'm going to put that in this time because I do use that dossier to keep a track of how I'm going in my game. So I hope this hasn't been too confusing. It's just been a quick update to the guide I did 12 months ago for Aslain's World of Tanks Modpack. Hopefully this has helped you out and pointed out a few mods that might be detrimental to your gameplay or some that might help you. Remember, if you're internet connection isn't too good, I'd be very conservative about which mods I put on there, because if you put too many on, it will affect your gameplay and you'll be playing as if you're on a worse internet connection than you really are. So once you've selected everything, you click on next, clean install, next, install, and it installs it all for you. And once it's thought about it for a minute and installed all the mods, it does a bit of extracting, whatever that means. It looks pretty cool anyway. It looks like it knows what it's doing. Once it's done, it will give you the option to visit mod XVM to sign up and enable stats. So I do that every time. I tick that box and click on finish, and you get the XVM website, and just click on activate services and update statistics, and you're good to go. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review on Aslain's ModPack. It's one of the ModPacks that's been around for a long time. There are some dodgy ones out there, not by Aslains though, so be careful what you put on your computer. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you all next time.